This is one of the most unclear productions of Romeo and Juliet I have ever seen. It's like the stakes are completely missing from this production. I'm like, I'm sorry, aren't the two families supposed to be rivals? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, it doesn't feel like it here. And they're like, yeah, but Romeo and Juliet can't be together. And I'm like, why? I was so confused. I'm like, it seems like everyone's having a great time. All of the actors are seen like partying together on stage, and then it's not until like the fight sequences where they seem to have an issue with one another. Like it was very strange. Like I was like, I don't see the issue here. I'm also not sure if the show is trying to tell me that hate derives from lust, or if lust and hate are two sides of the same coin. I hope it's that one. Like that one sounds better to me, that they're two sides of the same coin, but it wasn't very clear. And honestly, I say lust because this show, for Romeo and Juliet, it just did not feel like there was a lot of romance or a lot of love. I mean, the balcony scene was the best scene for this. I thought that was very romantic and very well done. From the sound design and music supervisor Cody Spencer, oh, there's like a beautiful like humming in the background that's very relaxing and very pleasing to the ear. And just it does a lot of heavy lifting to evoke a sense of romance. So that was a great choice. The set design in that moment, there's like a bed of flowers, and the set was by a design collective called Dots. I thought that was my favorite set piece. I wanted to run through it. It looks so beautiful. And Isabella Byrd's lighting is also gorgeous in this sequence, and it's gorgeous throughout the entire show. However, during the fight scenes, they would strobe the lights, like they would flash them. It would obstruct the fighting. And I think that's to disguise the fact that they're not really hitting each other and that it is choreography. I was like, I mean, you could have, I don't know. I felt like they could have done something. Again, it goes back to raising the stakes. I never really felt like anyone was in danger until their character had to, because the script said to. Romeo and Juliet are both still seen as like impulsive teenagers, and that comes across very clear. I thought that Kit Connor did an excellent job. This was my first time seeing him perform, and he makes the audience fall in love with him if they weren't already, which I have a feeling a lot of you who go see the show are already in love with Kit Connor, but he makes everyone in there fall in love with his Romeo very quickly. He's got this charm about him, and it was very adorable, and I like that he as a character is very impulsive as well. You're like, hey, well, like you're like, calm down, buddy. Like let's think this through. And he's like, no. Kit Connor really brought the romance to Romeo, but I did feel that Rachel Zegler didn't quite hold up Juliet's part of Romeo and Juliet's chemistry. I think Rachel Zegler is incredibly talented. I'm a huge fan of her from West Side Story. My issue with Zegler's Juliet is that her Juliet sort of lacked, the character kind of lacked an identity. Her Juliet very much gets like lost in the other stuff and lost among the other actors and starts to very much feel like a supporting role in her own story, which is unfortunate. I just didn't think that she made this role her own. If you're going to see Rachel Zegler because you are familiar with her beautiful voice, you are going to be very happy. There are songs that she does sing. There's one that is in the context of the story, and then there's one that seems to be a full-on musical number that doesn't take place within the world of the show. So that was interesting. I mean, to be completely honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Jack Antonoff's music, and that's still the same here with these two songs in the show. I didn't really like them. If you did, that's great. I'm glad you enjoyed them. I just thought that they were unnecessary. From a business perspective, I'm like, if you're going to cast Rachel Zegler, you're going to make her sing. It was funny. Rachel Zegler very much was like exercising her vocal muscles during the performance, and then they had Kit Connor exercising his like bicep and tricep muscles. I left that theater being like, I have to do push-ups. Gabby Beans, who plays Mercutio and the Friar, is such a scene stealer. I'm so happy I saw the show just to see Gabby Beans herself. Like, she was incredible. I know that she was nominated for a Tony Award. I forget for what show, but I hope that she wins for this one. I hope it's her time. But the Hills of California also has a lot of actors who I think will be nominated in that category. I'm going to have to do a video on the Tonys eventually, but she does such a great job, and I hope that she gets recognized for the good work she's doing and gets more work out of this, because she is incredible. She plays multiple roles, like I said. She does the best job at making the distinction between her two characters clear and worth it. Proof of this is that the audience actually applauded for her when she would change from one character to the other. And I was like, that is really cool to get an audience to applaud for you just because you changed your voice. Was awesome, and she earns it. Her character spends a lot of the time in Act 1 sitting along the perimeter of the stage. Tommy Dorfman also spends a lot of time off stage watching the action until she goes on for the nurse and for Tybalt. As soon as she enters as the nurse, what a phenomenal job. Tommy Dorfman is so good as the nurse. I hope that she gets nominated as well. I didn't feel an emotional reaction to the tragic ending of the show until Dorfman cried out. And I thought the way that Tommy Dorfman performed this scene was very moving. It was a small moment, but it really won me over. I do think, however, that it was a mistake to have the same performer play the nurse and Tybalt. Like there was a fight scene at the beginning, and let's just say I was like, why is the nurse in this fight scene? Which was cool, but I was like, oh yeah, that's Tybalt. Sola Fadiran does a really nice job as both Lord Capulet and Lady Capulet. Very talented at switching between the two characters. However, I have to admit, I really did not understand the point of having the same performer play Lord Capulet and Lady Capulet. I was like, there's an opportunity to employ two performers. Like, let's do that, right? Seriously, what is the point of the story to have this character be played by one actor? To me, it defeats the purpose of like the generational aspect too. It's like there's not enough from that perspective to really get any nuance. A lot of the actors play multiple roles, which gets very confusing. They do give you this little handout included in the playbill. And I was like, oh, this is nice. I could check on who's who and, everyone's relationship with each other. But I wasn't expecting to have to use this as a guide the entire production. There was very little like visual clues as to who was who. Like sometimes the characters would change up their costumes, but then it feels like in Act 2, the costume changes are completely lost. So it just gets very muddy. Here is a view from my seat. I had amazing legroom. I feel like the Circle and the Square Theater and the Hudson Theater are both in competition for which has the best legroom in the orchestra. I was sitting pretty far back in the bleachers, but there was a catwalk that was over me, which can be distracting at times. The actors walk around up there. They're supposed to try to do it quietly. And the stage management team is also up there doing stuff. I kind of found it distracting. If that's something that may take you out of it, I'd recommend, if you can get tickets for a similar price, try to sit closer to the stage. Also, I found this odd, but the seat I purchased was not where I thought I was going to be sitting. And that's because the graphic online is not facing the direction that I am used to facing. Usually what I'm used to if I'm purchasing tickets online, which I rarely do, I usually know it's as like theater entrance, orchestra, stage, with the stage being on top. But here it's reversed. So it's not labeled, but the entrance, if you can imagine, if it really means a lot to you, the entrance is technically on the top part of the screen, and then it's the seating and the stage. That may be confusing. I'll try to illustrate it in a graphic, but I was just like, oh, I'm on the opposite side than I thought. Restrooms in Circle in the Square are located one floor below the performance space. However, I had a hard time in my research finding where accessible bathrooms are. I'll leave a photo of that information here if I'm able to find it. Wheelchair-only seating are orchestra rows J and K. Also, something else that I really love is that there is open captioning at every performance of Romeo and Juliet. It is specific to a section, so just take a look online if that's something you'd be interested in. So, should you see Romeo and Juliet before it closes on February 16th, unless it is extended? I mean, the only people that I would really say go run and get your tickets are people who really want to see Rachel Zegler and Kit Connor perform live and maybe meet them at the stage door. If that's you, do it. I think you're going to have a fantastic time. If you didn't like Shakespeare before going to the show, you probably won't like Shakespeare after. Also, if you're a Shakespeare purist, please let me know in the comments. I'm unable to speak from that perspective, but let me know if this production held up to your standards of Romeo and Juliet. Those are my thoughts on Romeo and Juliet starring Kit Connor and Rachel Zegler playing at Circle in the Square until February 16th. again, unless it's extended. I would love to read your thoughts in the comment section below. I would also really appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up. And don't forget, you can also support my channel by checking out some of my other reviews and theater-related content. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to stay off your phones while at the theater.